Some criminals are just downright evil, and with no chance of redeeming themselves or their lives, they can say just about anything they want, which can be scary. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and today we're counting down our list of the top 10 dark confessions made by life sentence prisoners. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be freaked out. Number 10. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos was a prostitute who ended the lives of many men in Florida. In 1989 to 1990, while engaging in street prostitution along highways, she shot dead and robbed 7 of her male clients. She claimed that her clients had either taken advantage of or tried to take advantage of her, and that all the deaths were committed in self-defense. Aileen was sentenced to death for 6 of the deaths, and on October 9, 2002, after 12 years on Florida's death row, she was executed by lethal injection. She had no remorse for these men and said, "I want the world to know I killed these men as cold as ice. I've hated humans for a long time. I am a serial killer." This really shows how she had no remorse for her actions and that she didn't really commit these crimes as self-defense. Number 9. Albert Fish. Albert Fish ended the lives of many of the young and was suspected in at least 5 homicides. He was nicknamed the Boogeyman for his predatory behavior. He confessed to 3 deaths that police were able to trace to a known homicide, and he confessed to stabbing at least 2 other people. Albert once boasted his number of victims was about 100. He abducted Grace Budd in 1928, and in an abandoned home in Winchester County, New York, he ended her life and devoured her body. He wrote a letter to Grace's mother telling her about the crimes he committed against her daughter. He said, "When all was ready, I went to the window and called her. Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me all naked, she began to cry and tried to run downstairs. I grabbed her and she said she would tell her mama. How did she kick, bite, and scratch? I then cut her in small pieces so I could take my meat to my rooms, cook it, and eat it." Now this is truly disturbing, and I can't imagine how the mother felt receiving that letter. Number 8. Peter Kurten. Peter Kurten was a German man known as the Vampire of Dusseldorf who took the lives and took advantage of many people between February and November 1929 in the city of Dusseldorf. The first death he definitely committed occurred on May 25, 1913. During the course of a burglary, he encountered a girl named Christine Klein asleep in her bed. Peter strangled her, then slashed her twice across the throat with a pocket knife. This made him excited down there, if you know what I mean, due to him hearing the blood dripping from her wounds onto the floor by her bed and on his hand. He then did this multiple times to countless other victims. Then one day, Peter confessed to his wife that he was the Vampire of Dusseldorf. She reported him to the police, and he was arrested and was charged with 9 counts of homicide and 7 of attempted homicide. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity to each of the charges, but he was found guilty of everything and sentenced to death. Peter displayed no emotion as the sentence was passed, and at 6 o'clock on the morning of July 2nd, 1931, Peter was beheaded. Now this isn't a confession, but more of a question, but it is so gross. Since he loved blood, his last words were, "Tell me, after my head has been chopped off, will I still be able to hear, at least for a moment, the sound of my own blood gushing from the stump of my neck? That would be a pleasure to end all pleasures." Wow, that is just disgusting. Number 7. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy kidnapped, took advantage of, and ended the lives of dozens of young women during the 1970s and possibly earlier. Ted often employed his charm to disguise his intentions when kidnapping victims and extended this tactic to law enforcement, the media, and the criminal justice system to maintain his claims of innocence. He typically approached women in public places, either asking for help by faking an injury or impersonating an authority figure. Once tricked into being led away, they would then be bludgeoned unconscious and taken elsewhere to be taken advantage of and eventually die. In 1975, he was arrested and jailed in Utah for aggravated kidnapping and attempted criminal assault. He then became a suspect in a progressively longer list of unsolved homicides in several states. The day before his execution, he told Dr. James Dobson, "Serial killers do not stand out in a crowd, and if gone unnoticed, look just like the average person. As we serial killers are your sons, we are your husbands, and we grew up in regular families. families, which is just chilling. Then while in prison after more than a decade of denials, Ted also confessed to ending the lives of more than 30 people committed in 7 states between 1974 and 1978, but experts estimate the real number could exceed 100. Number 6. Carl Panzram. Carl Panzram was truly an evil man. He committed so many crimes, most of them the unthinkable. In prison confessions and in his autobiography, Carl confessed to having committed the deaths of 21 boys and men, only 5 of which could be corroborated. He is suspected of having ended the lives of more than 100 boys and men in the United States alone. He also confessed to have committed more than 1,000 acts of taking advantage of males of all ages. He wrote, "In my lifetime, I have murdered 21 human beings. I have committed thousands of burglaries, arsons, and last but not least, I have committed sodomy on more than 1,000 male human beings. For all those things, I am not the least bit sorry. I have no conscience, so that does not worry me. I hate the whole damned human race, including myself." Number 5. Edmund Kemper. Edmund Kemper ended the lives of 10 people. These included his own mother and her best friend, his grandparents, and female college students hitchhiking in the vicinity of Santa Cruz County, California. He targeted the young female hitchhikers during his spree by luring them into his vehicle and driving them to secluded areas where he would end their lives before taking their corpses back to his home to be decapitated, dismembered, and violated. While speaking with Front Page Detective magazine, Edmund explained his thought process when finding his victims, saying, "One side of me says, I'd like to talk to her, date her. The other side of me says, I wonder what her head would look like on a stick." He also said, "The first time I had sex with a dead body, it makes you sick to your stomach." Number 4. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer ended the lives of many young men in Milwaukee, where he would then dismember them. It had been reported that he ended the lives of 17 males between 1978 and 1991. A total of 7 skulls, some painted, some bleached, were found in Jeffrey's bedroom and inside a closet. Investigators discovered collected blood drippings upon a tray at the bottom of Jeffrey's refrigerator, plus 2 human hearts and a portion of arm muscle. In his freezer, investigators discovered an entire torso, plus a bag of human organs and flesh stuck to the ice at the bottom. Elsewhere in his apartment, the investigators discovered 2 entire skeletons, a pair of severed hands, 2 severed and preserved male sex organs, a mummified scalp, and in a 57-gallon drum, 3 further dismembered torsos dissolving in an acid solution. A total of 74 Polaroid pictures detailing the dismemberment of his victims were also found. He was convicted of 16 counts of ending someone's life, and he was to serve 16 terms of life imprisonment on February 17, 1992. Now, while in jail, he talked about eating people and famously said, "I ate someone with a tattoo once. The ink made the meat taste like shh. Eat garlic to avoid vampires, get tattoos to avoid cannibals." So, there you have it. Tattoos can save you from those who eat other humans. Number 3. Robert Pickton. Robert Pickton ended the lives and took advantage of many as a former pig farmer who is suspected of being one of the most prolific criminals in Canadian history. After dropping out of school, Robert left a butcher's apprenticeship to begin working full-time at his family's pig farm. He is believed to have begun ending people's lives in the early 1980s after inheriting the farm. Arrested in 2002, he was convicted in 2007 of the second-degree homicide of 6 women and was also the subject of a lengthy investigation that yielded evidence of numerous other deaths. Robert was charged with the deaths of an additional 20 women, many of them from Vancouver's downtown east side. During the trial's first day of jury evidence, the Crown stated that Robert had confessed to 49 deaths to an undercover agent from the Office of Inspector General who was posing as a cellmate. The Crown reported that Robert told the officer he wanted to end the life of another woman to make an even 50, and that he was caught because he was sloppy, which is just chilling. Number 2. Joe Metheny. Joe Metheny ended the lives and took advantage of many people in the Baltimore, Maryland area. While he had claimed to end the lives of 13 people, sufficient evidence was only found to convict him of 2 homicides. Research later confirmed 3 more victims, though he had not been charged with them. According to Joe, after spending time with his victims, he felt himself compelled to strangle the women. He claimed that he used his victims' bodies to create ground beef, which he then sold at barbecues, which literally makes me want to throw up. He was sentenced to 2 life sentences for the deaths and served nearly 2 decades before dying behind bars in 2017. Now, a scary comment from him showed him how evil he really was, as he said, "The words I'm sorry will never come out, for they would be a lie." It is so crazy to me that someone could do those horrific things and feel nothing about the matter. And coming in at number 1 is Charles Manson. Charles Manson was a criminal who created a cult called the Manson family. It was active in California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The group consisted of approximately 100 followers who lived an unconventional lifestyle and frequently used psychoactive substances. Now, the members of the cult believed that he was Jesus Christ and followed everything he said. Now, some of the members committed a series of 9 deaths at 4 locations in July and August of 1969. In 1971, Manson was convicted of first-degree homicide and conspiracy to commit homicide for the deaths of 7 people, including the film actress Sharon Tate. The prosecution contended that while Manson never directly ordered the deaths, his ideology constituted an overt act of conspiracy. Now, he has been clear that he has no remorse, as he once said. Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me, doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to because that's what you've done to me. Maybe I should have slain 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then I would have felt that I really offered society something. You've got it stuck in your brain that I slayed somebody. What do you want to call me a slayer for? I've never slain anyone. I don't need to. I think it. I have it here. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 dark confessions made by life sentence prisoners. Which one scares you the most? Let us know in the comments down below, and hey, why not like and subscribe while you're down there? I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.